FDC CR rail type liftgate. This is the power unit for the liftgate. This is a dual power unit system. And what it has, it's got 2 motors and 2 pumps, same valving that runs each one of them. When you're doing a PM or whenever you're doing troubleshooting, the PM is basically visual. You're looking to make sure that all the wire connections are tight and clean. All the hoses, they're not leaking, they're tight. All of these fittings take 13 foot-pounds to tighten. If you tighten too much, you can actually break the fitting. So you want to be careful on how you tighten these fittings. The other thing is, on every gate Lehman makes, they have this wiring diagram laminated to the back of the box. It's all color-coded, shows the switches, it shows all the terminal strips that are hooked to it, and it also has this little box here. This is the most important thing you want to look at when you're doing troubleshooting. It will tell you what valve, what color wire, and that is energized. So if you're having a problem, say the gate won't go up. So if you look at this, when it goes up, it says energizes the starter solenoid, valve B, the red wire, and valve S, the red wire. So if you look at this, you'll see 2 valves, and they will be color-coded red. You'll see 2 wires come off. Those are the 2 valves that energize. So whenever you're troubleshooting, you're going to be looking at these valves, doing testing up here on the red wires to make sure that you're getting voltage to the red wires. And if you're getting voltage on the terminal strips of the red wires, so now it's from there to these valves here. Okay, whenever you're doing a troubleshooting, using this here, this little box here that tells you which one's going to go to. The first thing you want to do, you want to make sure your batteries are fully charged, all the connections are tight and clean, all the grounds are clean and tight. Once you establish that all that is good and you're still having a problem, well then you can go to this box. So if I look at this box, say the gate is going down fine, it's unfolding, it's folding, but it won't go up. So if you look at this box, it says energizes the starter solenoid. So if you energize the starter solenoid and the motor's running, but it's still not going up, then it tells you valve B, the red wire, and S, the red wire. So if you look at this was the red wire, which is valve B. These 2 are S1 and S2. This is the red wire for the S2. So you can push this button in to bypass. Have somebody hit the up switch. If it goes up, now you know it's either the stem or it's the valve not working correctly, or the coil is not working correctly. You can also screw this little bolt knob in. As you screw it in, it will open it up and bypass it. And if you screw this one in, the gate actually will start coming down. So whenever you're troubleshooting, you want to use this little box, and you can go through every one of these valves has got some kind of a bypass on it. This one happens to pull out. This one pushes in. These 2 screw in. So you can bypass any of these valves and find out which valve is not operating so long as the motor's working fine. If the motor's not working, now you got to test the motor, you got to test the starter solenoid to see if something's wrong with it. But if the starter or the solenoid is not working, it's not going to be powered down, it's not going to fold, it's not going to do 3 different things. Okay, inside this box, you have a series of switches. This is a handheld remote that runs the gate up and down. It's on a 50-foot cord, so you can take it all the way to the back of the lift gate. This is the fold and unfold button. What these 2 switches are for is if something happens to the switches in the back or the wire gets cut in the back, you have to flip these two switches. Well, this switch here, this switches from primary to secondary. Anytime you use these two buttons, you have to have it on secondary. Secondary will be pointing toward the front of the vehicle. Primary will be pointing toward the back of the vehicle. This switch is for gravity down or power down. You can either have the gate power down when it goes down, which is used most in cold weather situations when the oil starts to get thick, or you can have it over on gravity down. Gravity down is toward the rear of the trailer. Power down is toward the front of the trailer. Okay, when you're checking the oil on the tank, you've got a breather cap and it has a dipstick on it. It's power down and or gravity down, depending on which way you're running it. If it's gravity down, you want the gate open and on the ground. If you have it power down, you want the gate open and all the way up. It doesn't make any difference if it's on the ground or up, just depends on how you've got it switched, whether it's power down or gravity down. Gravity down, all the way down and open. Power down, all the way up and open. When you unscrew the cap, it'll come out and you'll see a dipstick. The oil, whether it's power down or gravity down, whether you got it all the way up and open or all the way down and open, will be about 1/8 of an inch onto the dipstick. That's when it's full. Okay, this is the maintenance minder it's on every Leyman premium gate. As we go through this, it doesn't matter which gate it is. The only difference between it is the information that's stored into it. Okay, this maintenance minder has got 4 screens, or 4 menus, 27 screens. Each menu has different information on it. Pushing this button will light up the screen, and you can use these arrow keys to go to whatever menu you want to go to. Menu 1 is just liftgate information. It's liftgate, it's information about the liftgates. Menu 2 is period information. This is the one you're going to use most because it's information gathered between maintenance periods. When it gets to 3,000 lifts, it's going to start beeping and tell you it's time to do maintenance. Menu 3 is lifetime information. This is information gathered during the life of the liftgate. It will gather certain information. Menu 4 is last lift information. The last time you run this lift, it will gather information, how long the motor ran, what the voltage drew down to it was going, and the last one is, I'll explain when we get to it. So when you get to whatever one you want to get into, you hit the enter key over here. This is liftgate information. As you hit this, it will come up into the screen. You'll have model number, and you use these arrow keys to move up and down. You got serial number. That's really important. As you're ordering parts and or if you do warranty, you have to have this serial number. The serial number tells them everything that's been put on this liftgate. Then it has vehicle number. That was a good idea, except for they never put the right gate on the right vehicle, so it won't say anything. Then you've got the date that it was manufactured. That date is put in the day it ships. We used to send warranty cards out with every liftgate. We never got warranty cards back, so now what they do is they put this date in the day it ships, They allow 30 days for it to get to the installer, be installed, and then put in service. Then you got hardware and firmware. That's more for us. Anytime the manufacturer changes something, he'll change this. And then the last screen on this is liftgate type. And all it says is PUGD, which is power up, gravity down. It may say PUPD, which is power up, power down. Menu 2 is period information. Like I said before, this is the one you're going to use most of. As you go in here, it tells you, as you're going through this, what you've done between maintenance periods, what this gate has done. So you got a number of lifts. The one on the left is how many lifts has been made between the maintenance period. The one on the right is when it gets to 3,000, it will start beeping, telling you it's time to do maintenance. Doesn't stop the operation of the gate, but just let you know that it's time to do maintenance, and it will beep every lift past 3,000. Motor on just tells you how many minutes the motors ran between these maintenance periods. Service faults. Once it gets to 3,000, we'll start counting how many lifts past 3,000 is gone. Low voltage faults. If the batteries get down below 10 volts, it will shut off, start beeping, and count as the low voltage fault. Max time faults. What that does is if you get a short in the wires between the switch and the maintenance minder, and the gate starts running, and it runs longer than 3 minutes, it'll say there's something wrong, and it'll turn the voltage off to the starter solenoid, so it shuts the gate down. If the starter solenoid sticks, it won't do anything. It'll keep running. High temperature faults. If the motor gets up above 232 degrees, this will come on, start beeping, the motor will shut down, and will say it'll give you a high temperature fault. It'll let you know why. High pressure faults, that's not hooked up. You don't have to worry about it. And then you've got reset, lift, hold, reset. So to reset menu 2 only, you get to this screen. Here is where the lift fault is. You hold that in, and as you hold that in, it will tell you one of these buttons to hit. Like this one says down. So as I hold that in, oh, come on. It's telling me to hit the down button. I hit it, it says reset succeeded. So now if I go back to menu 2 and I hit enter, everything is zeroed out. 0, 0, 0, all the way through menu 2. Menu 3 is identical to menu 2 except for its lifetime history. So if you hit the enter key, you go in here, it tells you in its lifetime what it's done. Number of lifts. It's how long the motors ran during its lifetime. How many service faults. Low voltage faults. Max time faults. High temperature faults. High pressure faults should always say 0. And then when you get here, it says history of reset, press enter. This does not reset menu 3. It gives you a lifetime history of every time menu 2 has been reset. So you can go back and look through it. Just scroll through it. You can go up or down, whichever way you want to go. This is the 4th time it was reset. It had 0 lifts and 0 minutes on the motor. If I go to 3, 3rd time it was reset, it had 1 lift and 0 minutes on the motor. Menu 4 is really important. When you hit the button, the first screen shows you voltage on the left, which is what the batteries drew down to as the lift was being made. The voltage on the right is what the batteries are sitting right now. So the batteries right now are 12.6. This is not under a load. It tells you the second screen, motor, how many seconds the gate ran during this lift. And then the third one says window time MS. What that is it will count in milliseconds. That's what the MS stands for. How long the batteries stay between 6 and 8 volts. If it goes below 6 volts, it instantly shuts off. So there's a time delay on this of 3 seconds, which says you can draw the gate all the way down to 6 volts for 3 seconds. So long as the batteries come back up above 10 volts, it'll keep running. So what this screen does is anytime you're getting readings in it, you should never see readings in there. If all your batteries are fully charged, all your connections are good, clean, and tight, and you got good grounds, and you're getting readings in here between 6 and 8 volts, it's likely that the brushes in the motor were pretty well worn. And it's time to change the motor or have the motor rebuilt or put new brushes in the motor. But that is depending on that everything on the batteries, the connections, and the grounds are good. And you still get readings in there, then it's likely that the motor, the brushes are pretty well worn. Okay, one of the things that come up a lot is the orange box in there, the maintenance minder 2, it has on there what's called anti-doorbell. And what that does is you cannot flip the switch that runs the motor, whether it's up or power down, even folding, because it runs. If you flip it twice real quick, it will shut the power off to the motor, not allowing you to constantly snap the starter solenoid open and close. So to demonstrate this, I'll push this up, I'll quickly push it again, and it's not doing anything. So what that does is you may get a driver coming in saying, well, this switch sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't. It could be that his finger slipped off the switch, and then he pushed it again real quick, and it stopped. So what happens a lot of times is they'll start flipping the switch, trying to get it to go up, but it doesn't run. As soon as they let off of it, and push the button again, it starts running. Okay, when you fold and unfold the gate, there's a sticker up there, there's an arrow on the inner slide that actually moves. As you lower the gate, you'll see 3 different things. One will say lock, you can see a bunch of X's, and then there's a big wide opening that says fold and unfold. So long as that arrow is in between where that fold and unfold is, you can now unfold the gate. Also fold the gate if it's in there and where that section. way up. You want to run it up until it stops. And the arrow will be almost to the O on lock. Right in between the O and the L, somewhere in there, and it stops. That's when it's in the up position. Once it hits up there, then you can leave. Okay, when you're doing a PM, one of the things you want to check is the hose that runs for this hydraulic cylinder that moves up and down in the gate. It's in behind this channel. What you do is you take these 3 bolts out and remove the channel. Okay, you take these 3 bolts out, and once you get the bolts out, you pull this channel back. And what you want to check is there's a clamp here, there's a clamp here, there's a clamp here, and a clamp there. You've got to make sure that those clamps are in position, because if they're not, this will start to move around and will actually get up in there far enough where this roller will actually roll across this and smash it. So you want to check this and make sure all the clamps are engaged and tightened in it. Okay, one of the things, if you need to change a roller, you can have the gate all the way down, you can have it all the way up, you can have it in the middle. It really doesn't make any difference. You can change it in any position. What you want to do is these rollers on the opposite side of the roller, which is on this channel, you have to remove this channel. Here's the pad. Here's the roller on this side. So if I was changing this roller, I would have to remove this channel, take the 2 bolts out, hold this pad on, slide the mounting plate and the pad out. Then what you want to do is you want to take a C-clamp, some kind of clamp, put it on the inner mast, put it out here on the outer mast, and pull the mast back until the roller disengages from the track. Then you can take the 4 bolts out, this plate and the roller and the pin all slide out. If for some reason it's stuck in there, you can take 2 of these bolts, and these holes here are threaded, they're jacking. You can use them as jacking screws to help jack this thing out. So no matter which one it is, all you got to remember is there's a pad on the other side. You got to remove the pad, and then you can take the clamp and pull that space out. Cover it. Okay, just as a reference, on the passenger side, there's a finger guard that you have to remove to get to the pad on the back side. So you can remove the pad. Okay, the pads have adjustments on it. What these pads are for, there's one here and there's one here. They're opposite of the rollers. When the gate folds up, the center of gravity changes a little bit and the gate will try to fall forward toward the trailer. So what these pads do is help hold it straight up and down when it's folded. You got to have a clearance in here. You can't have them riding on the track. You want 50 thousandths. The way you do this is you want the gate down, not quite hitting the ground. You don't want it sitting on the ground. And you want to check each pad to see what the clearance is. Go halfway up, check it again, go all the way to the top without hitting the stops. Stop the gate before it hits the stops and check it again. Whichever one has the smallest amount, that's where you want to adjust the pads from. So if you got, say, 80 thousandths down here, 60 thousandths in the middle, 70 thousandths at the top, you want to adjust it in the middle to 50 thousandths. Because if you adjust it down here, say this is 80 thousandths, adjust it to 50. When it gets to the middle, it's going to be digging into the track and it's going to hang up. Okay, here's the pad and here's the stop. The stop comes up and hits the pad. There's one on each side. What these do is stop the gate also from going in too far or coming out too far. The pad has washers and or shims that go behind it, so you can adjust it to get it straight up and down. So you want to adjust each side so when this thing folds up, the platform is straight up and down. Okay, when you're doing a PM or you're troubleshooting the gate, say the gate is going up just fine, hits level, but coming down, it's coming down crooked. If it's always coming down crooked, the same all the time, so let's say it's the passenger side, is always faster than the driver's side, well then you have to shim this tie bar. There's a bar that runs from one side to the other side that ties the two rails together. So what you've got to do is, this one has 2 bolts in it, the other one has 1, and you're only doing the top bolts. So what you want to do is you take these 2 bolts out, put a 4x4 underneath the inner slide itself. You power it down, or if it's gravity down, you get a couple of people to stand on that side. They have that side come down and hit the ground, and this side come off the ground. This will open the tie bar between the inner mass and the tie bar itself. Then you want to put a washer in there, and put a bolt through, washer on each one of them. Tighten it up, run it up and down, see if it's coming down fine now. You want to run it all the way up and then run it down. If it's coming down straight, you don't have to do anything. If it's still a little crooked, you may have to add another washer to it. So now you've got 2 washers behind it. You don't want no more than 2 washers. If you need more than 2 washers, it's more than likely that this bar has been bent. So you're going to have to change the whole bar itself. It's bolted on, but you're going to have to change the whole bar. Okay. Say the gate is coming down just fine, it's coming down nice and level, but it's going up uneven. And when it's going up uneven, and it's only when it's going up uneven, it has nothing to do with going down. When it's going up uneven, there's an equalizer valve that's molded on the power unit box, behind the box itself, that you can adjust for going up. Okay. If the gate is going up crooked, that we went over, this is the equalizer valve, this big steel block right here that the lines run into. On each side of this equalizer valve, there's a nut and a screw. There's one here, there's one over here. The screw is an Allen screw, it's 3/16, and you have to use individual Allen screws. You can't use a ratchet with an Allen screw, or you can't use one that's all bundled into one unit, because you can't get it on the back one here. You can get it on the front, but it won't fit in between the back here. So what you want to do is you want to loosen this nut. You screw the screw out to speed the side up. You screw it in to slow it down. If you're going to speed it up, when you screw it out, you want to finger tighten this nut down to see how many threads are showing. You don't want any more than 1 thread coming out past the nut, because if you get more than that, the threads that are inside the block, you're toward the end of it, you can actually shoot this thing out and you could lose internal parts. They don't sell internal parts for this thing. You got to buy the whole thing if you lose the parts. So be careful when you do that. So if you screw this out and it's got 1 thread left and this side is still slow going up, that means you're going to have to screw this side in to slow this side down to catch up with that side. So you need to adjust each one of these until you get it going up even. Every time you adjust this, you have to run the gate all the way to the ground and then run it all the way up. If you got to adjust it again, you got to run it all the way back to the ground, do adjustments again, and then run it up until you get it adjusted where it's going up even. Okay, when you're doing an adjustment on this, if the installer has done this correctly, this side will be working the curb side. This side will be working the street side. If for some reason these are crossed and you're doing an adjustment and this side is affecting the street side, it's because these 2 hoses are backwards. It doesn't do anything to the operation of the lift gate. It does when you start doing adjustments, because you think you're adjusting one side and you're really adjusting the other side.